Do I need to read the full call of order, or can I just
No, you just
say
I'm
all
calling
right?
the meeting to order.
All right, we will call the EDA meeting to order. It is 8:59 p.m.
Commissioner Adams,
Here.
Commissioner Budiszewski,
Here.
Commissioner Dahl,
Here.
Commissioner Deschler, Commissioner Kolb,
Here.
Commissioner LaRoche.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item 3, or number 3.
I
the
move approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. They're way ahead of me. Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And they are approved. Thank you. Item 4, public hearing to consider a resolution approving the sale of 5751 West Broadway to the owner of the adjacent parcel at 5747 West Broadway for lot consolidation.
Okay.
Sutter.
Thank you, Vice President LaRoche and members of the commission. We had a work session discussion about this. I don't remember what the date was. I think it was the May, second meeting in May, perhaps. So I won't go through all the history with you, but basically we own the northern parcel where there's a parking lot that is, it's not technically owned by the office building, but the office building has a right to have a parking lot on our property. And that predates our acquisition through the tax forfeiture process. The purpose of the property sale and tonight's public hearing is to proceed with the sale of this parcel that we own to the owner of the office building parcel to the south with a number of conditions. And the number one condition is that before we convey it, the EDA would declare a stormwater facility easement over the property, so it would be sold with that in place. And then also the owner to whom we sell the property would have to agree to do a lot consolidation plat, to basically replat these two into a single parcel so they can never be kind of separated and go their separate ways again, which is how we sort of got it at this point in the first place. So we're trying to prevent future problems, but also provide the opportunity for the city to create underground stormwater treatment if at some point we determine that it's feasible to do so and we have the funds to do so. If you recall from our discussion, go back up here. Actually, I'll start with the bottom half. What if we don't proceed? We'll continue to own the property where the parking lot is. The office building continues to maintain and use the parking lot. The EDA could still grant the city a stormwater easement whenever we need it. However, the street fund would not receive $5,000 in canceled special assessments that the owner of 5747, the office building, has agreed to pay as part of the deal. But the positive is the EDA retains the rest of the canceled specials that would otherwise have to pay as part of the deal in its fund balance. Well, what are the reasons why would we do this anyway? Well, we would still have the right to have our stormwater treatment facility through the method I just mentioned. A negative would be the EDA would have a reduced fund balance by about $18,000, but that, if it's a problem, the council could mitigate that by doing an interfund transfer from the street fund back to the EDA fund. The city receives $5,000 for the street fund from a private party who otherwise has no obligation to pay anything towards the street assessment on the property that we own where the parking lot is. And I think the biggest long-term benefit for everybody here is that the long-term ownership of both parcels will be cleared up so the office building and its parking lot are on a single platted lot and can't go their separate ways in the future. So with that, we do recommend that you authorize the sale of the property after holding the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, John. And are there any questions? Comments? Oh, seeing none? Oh, John.
So we're going to have the public hearing first, and,
Yes.
and then we're going to ask questions?
Well,
Are
it
you
said
ready?
took questions from the board before
Oh, we're gonna
on
take-
the
okay.
agenda. Yeah.
I guess, I don't know if we discussed this in the last, can I ask a question? No, last one.
Absolutely.
The value of the parking lot in addition to the property itself, I mean, what does it, do you have any idea of how it increases the value of that property? I mean, I'm concerned that by us selling it to the building for $5,000 that we add value to the building. itself, and then therefore, we more or less, we take a wash on the assessments that we basically eat.
Yeah, that's a good question, and some of it is speculative. It's just my way of saying I don't know.
Yeah.
But one way to think of it is because whoever owns this office building has this parking lot easement forever.
Right.
So they already benefit from having the right to have a parking lot there. They're not, we wouldn't be able to take that away from them. So the value of the parking lot is really as an accessory use to the office building. I have no idea how the assessors value this property.
True.
My hunch is, and this is generally true, when you have weird, messy ownership overlap type situations like this, if it gets cleaned up and it's clear that, hey, this whole property is a single parcel and its parking lot and its building, everything is together, that generally leads to increased property values for that particular site because it removes the uncertainty and the, lack of a better word, the weirdness that a lot of buyers just don't want to deal with. So I think there is some benefit that's going to occur here. But I think we benefit too as a city. I think this is a mutual benefit situation. And again, in the status quo, if we just keep owning that property, we don't get anything. They can have their parking lot there forever, and it stays in public hands forever. This is a chance to kind of fix this forever, hopefully.
And
So as a hypothetical, what is the easement? So let me get this right. They have an easement that allows them to to have a parking lot? And I assume, maybe rightfully or wrongfully, I don't know, they can then it's a parking lot easement? That's what it's for?
Yep.
So then they would then also have the right to redo the parking lot if it did, or replace it with another parking lot.
Reconstruct it even. I mean, full reconstruction too, if they need to.
Could they make it bigger?
Well, they would have to meet our code requirements, and it's pretty much as big as it can be.
Okay. So there's no opportunity here, not that I'm saying that we should, but to be oh, well, we're just not going to grant it, and then when the parking lot deteriorates, then you've got to deal with us. Though I don't know. I'm just going through crazy hypotheticals here, so I don't know. This is the goofiest thing I think I've seen so far. It could be. I mean, it's definitely top 5. And so I kind of just want to vote for it so I don't ever have to talk about it again. Because it's just so weird. It's hey, here's this parking lot we own, sort of, but not really. So, anyway.
I have a question, is there any opportunity for them to say, I want to just tear everything down and put something new in these 2 spots? They could do that potentially.
Yes, except with our stormwater easement, they wouldn't be able to do the building up here.
That would have to stay
It could stay
pavement or
right.
bituminous.
Right, but they could, we've reduced our parking requirements with the UDC, so, maybe they could tear this down and build a bigger building here, for example.
Yes.
I don't know, but this southerly part is where it would make sense to do the building anyway. And this parking lot up here is newer. The parking lot behind the building is older. So if that were the scenario, my guess is the new building would be built on the same part of the property the new building is. Maybe a bit, or the old building, existing building is, but maybe a bit bigger.
Okay. I did have a question or a comment too, in the current status that you had mentioned, that they're not sure if that original buyer is still interested. It's possible that another party could buy this property. So that wasn't a done deal with that one organization, correct?
No, we've been talking, in fact, Dan has been trying to get a hold of them. They haven't returned his calls in the last week or 2 to see what the status is. It's the problem you've heard about before, where they want to take an office building, a non-sprinklered office building, and turn it into a worship house, which means a lot of people packed into a space, and that, of course, triggers fire sprinkling requirements, and
And the cost.
they're trying to figure out how to pay for it. We have made them aware of our new program to finance those at no interest for 5 years using special assessments. But we just don't know at this point.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, sorry, I should mention one thing, because that particular user would be tax exempt. I think I mentioned this during the work session, but, you know, they would not, the property value may increase, but of course, anyone who buys it and tax exempts it, if they qualify, obviously we wouldn't get any tax revenue from that. So just keep in mind, there is a potential disconnect from a property being more valuable because of this combination. But if the buyer, the user, is a tax exempt entity, we wouldn't necessarily get any property taxes from that. That's just, and that's true of any property. It's not unique to this one. So just be aware of that.
What is the condition of that building? I mean, it's pretty old, right?
Yes, I would say it is, you know, the Herzing building? It's a bigger building, and it has the building on stilts and all that. It's kind of the same era, and I don't think they'd build anything quite like that today. I think it's maybe a little better than the Herzing building because it is not on stilts, but it is a 50-plus-year-old building. So, I mean, someone either needs to put some investment into it to renovate it, or it will probably be torn down and a new building built on that spot.
Well, it seems like it would be a good move for someone to just tear that down, put in something new, and then they've got a nice parking lot for only $5,000. And I gotta say, I don't mind it, because if they did anything to that piece of property, it will be better for the city in the end. So even as much as we wouldn't be getting a lot of tax revenue with this particular buyer, that doesn't mean they're going to stay there forever, and it does mean that eventually this property could be sold and made into something good.
And a question for me on behalf of Julie, I think, who brought it up at our work session and asked about this $5,000. Did we go and try to up the price to 10, or?
Well, I already did that, and he
And they
said
said
no.
no.
So,
Well, of course he's going to say no. There's no reason for him to raise it.
Just wanted to follow up for Julie. Very good. And seeing no other comments or questions, I'll open up for a public hearing and testimony from the public.
Wow, there's a lot of people here.
Crickets are chirping, so I will close the public hearing and testimony at this time. And is there a motion?
I'll move to approve, although do I need to have anything specific? I'll move to approve a resolution for the sale of 5751 West Broadway to the owner of the adjacent parcel at 5747 West Broadway for a lot consolidation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Any question or further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Budiszewski,
Nay.
Commissioner Dahl,
Aye.
Commissioner LaRoche,
Aye.
Commissioner Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Kolb.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1, or 4-1, excuse me.
Thank you very much, John. On to item number 5, other business. Is there anyone with other business to bring up tonight? Seeing none, make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Yes. Second.
Elizabeth, second, thank you. Any discussion? And seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.